Alright guys, welcome back. Vision here, Blind Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today we're doing a comic book review for one of my favorite comics, Kill or Be Killed, issue number 16. Now, if you're new to my channel, I do comic book reviews for some of my favorite comics, Kill or Be Killed, Walking Dead, among other things. So if you're into comic book reviews, or just want to know my thoughts, want to keep up to date with comic book news about Image and Aftershock Comics, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon. That way you won't be able to miss any of the comic content I put out on my channel. Now let's begin. So we start off this issue with Dylan explaining to us that the so-called vigilante killer that's out on the streets is indeed in fact a copycat and not him, and the doctor is informing him of this, and he is pretty much telling us, the reader, what the doctor is telling him. Now, I'm 50-50 on this. I'm okay with the fact that they revealed that that the vigilante killer is a copycat. I do kind of wish they would have kept that a secret a little bit longer and kind of dragged out the mystery of who this vigilante killer is. But at the same time, I'm okay that they released it early. It's 50-50. I could say this is a con, but I think with what happens towards the end of the issue, there could be a way to redeem this. So I'm not 100% upset about them revealing it. This is a copycat. If there's something that comes up towards the end of the issue, and if that ends up being something more, I will definitely say that this is not a con, and there could be more to the story than what we initially think. But moving on, the doctor tells Dylan that the vigilante killer is out there, but Dylan knows right away that that this is not the right vigilante killer. One, because he's the real vigilante killer, and two, because the vigilante killer has been caught on camera, which is against Dylan's profile. Also against Dylan's profile is this guy is going up against petty drug dealers, which doesn't match Dylan's MO, which, if you've been following, you know, he hits mainly high-level drug dealers, Russian gang members. So right away, that should be a tip-off to anybody that this is not the right vigilante killer. However, the doctor tells him that, that you can't be the vigilante killer because, see, we got him on camera right here. But Dylan, he knows the truth. So the doctor just decides, let's readjust your meds, and maybe that'll help. You'll stop hearing voices and seeing things like the demon, and you'll be better soon enough and maybe be able to leave the facility. So the doctor ramps Dylan up on a new prescription med. And, if any of you out there have kind of known anybody or been on meds like this before, you'll know, like, when they ramp up your meds like this, your people who are like this are gonna end up kind of being out of it, kind of. And that's how Dylan ends up. He's kind of just going through his daily motions. He's like, other than that, he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just kind of moving about his daily life. He doesn't really kind of know what's going on. Other than that, he's kind of like a zombie in that aspect. He's just kind of like doing his daily thing, but doesn't know like totally 100% what's going on. And at this time, he begins to blame the demon and says the demon abandoned him and this is his fault. He did this to him and it was all part of his plan, and he's kind of gone to a dark place in a kind of sense. At the same time, he's also stopped seeing the demon, which is why he begins to say the demon has abandoned him and played him for a fool, pretty much. And now during this time period when Dylan's being ramped up on drugs, we know that his mom and Kira show up and visit him one day, and even Dylan says at this point that he doesn't remember because what happened at that meeting. He's so ramped up on these drugs that, like I said, he's a zombie. He doesn't really know what's going on, and he mentions he only remembers that Kira left crying. And now this meeting, however, not for Kira and their interaction, but however, his mom and what goes on behind kind of the scenes in the comic is the pivotal moment pretty much in this issue of what happens next between Dylan and his doctor and pretty much the rest of his treatment moving forward. So like I said, this is a pivotal moment because during Kira and Dylan's meeting, his mom went to talk with the doctor, and during that time, what we don't see is that the doctor and her talked about his dad and brought up the fact that a few months back, I forget what issue it was, that Dylan, while he was at her house, was talking about the picture of the demon his dad drew and all that. So that brings us back to another session between Dylan and his doctor. At this meeting, he begins to talk to Dylan, try to get more background out of him, like what's going on in his childhood. And he brings up the demon. Now, Dylan mentions, yeah, I've seen the picture of the demon before, but he doesn't totally remember. I think he's playing this off in a sense. He doesn't want to. He's playing his cards close to the vest in a sense. He could really not remember, but I think in this sense he's just kind of lying to the doctor, and the doctor is like, "Oh, the meds are working," because Dylan's saying he doesn't see the demon anymore or hear from the demon anymore. So the doctor is thinking the meds are working. So he wants to go dig deeper into Dylan's childhood, and he thinks that one of Dylan's issue is he always feels like Dylan thinks that he needs to enact kind of like social justice, kind of one of those people that always has to go out there and seek justice for those who have been done wrong to in the world. So he begins asking Dylan, like, when in your life did this feeling start occurring to you? And Dylan is kind of just saying, oh, I don't totally remember it. Dylan can't really remember the point in his life when he kind of felt like he realized that life wasn't fair, pretty much. And the doctor's trying to pull it out of him, like, when did this kind of happen? When did you start realizing that life isn't fair? And Dylan pretty much for the life of him can't remember pinpoint exactly when in life he felt like he realized that life wasn't fair, pretty much. So then Dylan and the doctor had this brief conversation about how the doctor tries to explain to him how life isn't fair, and you can't just take justice into your own hands like the vigilante does, that kind of stuff. And then Dylan just kind of has this one kind of liner comeback about how, well, I think that stinks, typical of what he'd probably say. Not much else happens after that scene with him and the doctor for the rest of the issue. Then Dylan leaves from his session with the doctor, and as he leaves, he sees this girl being taken back to her room by this nurse or ward, and we get this kind of 5-minute scene where Dylan is telling us how this guy is pretty much kind of like a pedophile, and he takes advantage of these residents because they can't really fight back for themselves or protect themselves. And he pretty much homes in on this guy as his next potential target for the demon. Then we get this scene of Dylan telling us what's been going on with the copycat, and then we get these scenes from the copycat, and he has struck again. However, this time things go horribly wrong, and he ends up killing a cop, which in turn will end up badly for Dylan since he's a copycat, not the real person. This will reflect badly on the actual vigilante killer since he pretty much went down a turn you pretty much can't come back from when it comes to being a murderer or vigilante, whatever you want to call it. So then we get to the last couple pages of the issue, and we see Mason calling the police hotline or tip line, I forget what it's called, but he reveals that he knows the identity of the vigilante killer because he found Dylan's ski mask in his room. Now, the immediate thing I thought of, and this is what I say could redeem the whole revealing the copycat early in this issue for me, is that Mason is the copycat. That's my thinking. And he's going to use the whole vigilante identity while Dylan's locked away and can't stop him, and make Dylan look bad while Dylan's unable to stop him, and pretty much do it as revenge for what Dylan did between him and Kira earlier in the story. And that's something I'd be interested to see play out. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But I think that'd be pretty cool. And for me, that would redeem them revealing that it was a copycat too early in the story. So, alright guys, those are my thoughts on Kill or Be Killed, issue number 16. Again, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon. That way you won't be able to miss any more of my reviews on Kill or Be Killed or any other comic reviews I do on my channel. You can also go follow me on Twitter at BlindENTTV, ENT short for entertainment. So you can go follow me there. I'll have that linked in the description box down below. And I'll follow you back. This has been Vision of Blind Entertainment, and I will see you next time.